For the last 30 years or so of my life, I have been searching for the secrets to how consciousness creates reality. Now, this is a pretty profound topic. Philosophers and scientists have been searching for the answers for thousands of years, and we've gone through a whole series of different paradigms, different belief systems to try and explain the creation of our personal reality. People used to think that the gods did everything. There was a god of the ocean, and there was a god of the mountain, and there was a god of thunder, and there was a god of lightning. And if they were angry, they gave you bad luck, and if they were happy, they gave you good luck. In that system, the people with the power were the people who were able to influence the gods. Whether they were called druids or high priests or magicians or alchemists, they were the people who somehow had the connection to the external forces, and they were able to use magic potions or ceremonies to give you more of what you wanted. Well, that system was replaced by the scientific view. Newton came along and said everything's cause and effect. And that system seemed to work for about 250 years. And then a lot of things were not explainable by Newton's theories. So Einstein came along with a different point of view, E equals mc squared, saying energy and matter are the same thing. So this is what's called a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift is when you change your point of view and everything changes. I remember when I first discovered I was going to be a father, that created a paradigm shift for me. I started to look at the world with a different set of eyes. So this idea of a paradigm shift is a very important concept that I want to talk to you a little bit about today. A paradigm shift happens when the world suddenly changes, or our understanding of the world shifts. What used to be impossible suddenly becomes possible. And I'll just give you a couple of examples of that. When people started living in North America, they used to travel around, and they were called hunter-gatherers. They had to chase their food. They had to move constantly and gather food or hunt game because they needed to eat. If they didn't move, they died. And then at some point, they developed cultivation, where they were able to plant and harvest crops. Well, this enabled them to stay in one place. In the Middle East, the invention of farming allowed the cities to grow. So this is a paradigm shift. And paradigm shifts happen every once in a while when science discovers something new, or when a society discovers a new way of looking at things. For example, the invention of the steam engine a couple of hundred years ago changed the way things were manufactured. Before that, things had to be made by hand. Suddenly the steam engine came along, created the Industrial Revolution, and things stopped being made by hand. They started being made by machine. And of course, we all know the tremendous changes that have happened in the last 200 years because of that. Another paradigm shift happened when the automobile was invented. Another paradigm shift happened with the invention of the telephone and with the invention of photography and movies. A paradigm shift happened when the computer was invented, and more recently, the internet. You might call the invention of the cell phone a paradigm shift. Everybody now has a cell phone. We can communicate instantly with people all over the world through a device that we hold in our hand. 100 years ago, this was impossible. 200 years ago, it was impossible. 300 years ago, if you had a device that would enable you to talk to somebody on the other side of the country, they probably would have burned you at the stake as a witch. So the world changes. And a paradigm is a change in consciousness, a change in awareness, a change in understanding that makes things that used to be impossible now possible. Well, there's another paradigm shift happening right now in the field of psychology. In 1995, roughly, using a machine called a functional MRI, scientists discovered for the first time a way to look inside the human brain as it was thinking. They could actually see what thought looks like in the brain. And this has created a huge paradigm shift in our understanding of the way the human brain works. Scientists now say that we've learned more about the brain and the mind in the last 15 years than we've learned in the previous 1500 years. So we can do things now with brain science, with neuroscience, that simply were considered to be impossible 20 or 25 years ago. This is creating a huge paradigm shift, which most people are not aware of, but something I have been researching for the last 25 or 30 years, before the invention of the MRI. And some of the ways that this shows up is in things like the law of attraction. Certain people have made a consciousness shift that says, if I think in a certain way, if I talk to myself in a certain way, if I learn to visualize things in a certain way, if I learn to change my beliefs and my attitudes in a certain way, I can start to attract what I want to me, kind of like magic. This is a paradigm shift. Scientists now realize that thinking changes the brain. A certain kind of thinking in a certain way, changes the nerves in your brain. Now, this is an amazing piece of information. This was considered impossible before 1995. Scientists at Harvard University and other universities around the world are now saying that by watching the brain through an MRI, they now realize that we have something called future memory. What it means is that what we consider to be memory, which is basically information from the past, is not a recording of the past, it's a connection to the past. And we have exactly the same kind of connection to the future. This explains why people who have goals start to automatically attract those goals. Whether you call it law of attraction or you call it something else, by thinking in a certain way, imagining the future that you want in a certain way, learning how to motivate yourself, developing the right kind of attitudes and beliefs, you can literally put yourself into a situation where the life that you dream of, the life that you want, the life that you're daydreaming about, starts to manifest for you, piece by piece, step by step. What used to be considered impossible or magic or some kind of hocus pocus just a few years ago is now becoming scientific fact. And this is what I specialize in teaching people how to do. I teach people how to create their own personal paradigm shift by doing certain thought exercises, certain visualization exercises, writing down goals and thinking about their goals in a certain way, working with their attitudes and beliefs. They can make a shift, a paradigm shift in their ability to create the life of their choice. You can create a paradigm shift. You can become a magnet that automatically, seemingly by magic, attracts to you the life that you want to create for yourself. And MAGIC is an acronym, M-A-G-I-C. The M stands for motivation. You have to learn to motivate yourself by using what you want as a motivating factor. A stands for attitude. You have to develop the right kind of attitudes, the attitude of a champion, the attitude of a person who can attract what you want to you. G stands for goals. If you decide what you want, that triggers your brain to start thinking in a certain way, and it starts to come to you. The I in MAGIC stands for imagination. Imagination is the connection to the future that I'm talking about, the same as memory gives you a connection to the past. So learning how to use your imagination in a certain way connects you to the future that you want and brings the future to you. C stands for consciousness, and consciousness is understanding the way your inner world and your outer world are related. So this 5-part system has video that explains how the whole system works. There's a 20-page workbook. There are creative visualization recordings, meditation recordings. It also includes, as a special bonus, a copy of my best-selling book, Mind, Time, and Power, which gives you over 200 pages of information that really ties the whole thing together. So we're covering all the modalities here. We're getting the visualization exercises, the meditation recordings, the online video, and a copy of my book. Now, what are the benefits to you of taking this program? Well, the first thing is you're going to receive personalized instruction in some very specific mind power techniques that I've perfected over the last 25 years. You're going to get the key that unlocks your inner power to create what you want. You're going to get the secret of creating the life you want step by step. You will learn how to dramatically increase your results. You'll learn how your mind creates your reality. You'll learn how to achieve your goals, how to maintain a positive attitude, how to remain continually motivated, how to maintain your enthusiasm, how to control stress and tension, and how to eliminate negative thinking. You will develop personal power. You'll develop a magnetic personality that attracts people, ideas, opportunity, and rewards to you. You'll develop insight, intuition, and awareness. You'll develop and perfect a clear vision of your chosen future, and you'll develop your creative imagination so that you can connect with that chosen future now and begin bringing it into physical reality. You'll become self-motivated, goal-directed, decisive. You'll become a positive influence on others, your family, friends, loved ones, and people around you. You'll become an opportunity magnet. You'll become, for the first time perhaps, the captain of your ship of life rather than just one of the passengers. This program is designed to create a paradigm shift for you. So rather than being at the mercy of your environment, you are now creating your personal environment. Rather than being a victim of your imagination, you become the master of your imagination and use your thoughts and your imagination and your beliefs and your attitudes to bring the world that you want to you. Sounds like magic. Well, it's magic from one paradigm. From another paradigm, it's a scientific view, and you can prove it for yourself. And I encourage you, if you're interested in becoming the person who creates your reality rather than wondering how other people do it, that you join this program. I'm interested in getting this information to as many people as I can. It doesn't help you if you're not a part of the program, and of course it doesn't help me spread the word to more people either. Learn to create your own personal paradigm shift and become the person who decides to create the life of your choice and learns a few simple thought exercises to start bringing what you want into your life. Make a decision today. Make this year the year that you create your own personal paradigm shift and start to live in a new world.